You're listening to the Platform Launchers podcast. I'm John Stange, and it's great to have you with us this week, as always, as we talk about building and growing and monetizing our online platforms. We're so grateful to be able to do this each week. I have to tell you, I just got to give a shout out to our members club. We have a wonderful, wonderful group of people here together. And I just think they're just such an enjoyable group to meet with. They're live here on the call right now as I'm speaking to you for our podcast here. We just had a robust discussion of all the different wins and the goals that our group is having. And a little bit after our teaching time here is finished, we're going to have some members only Q&A, but we've got people from all over the place and they do fantastic stuff. And I've got to let you know about a monthly project that we just completed. Each month we have a monthly challenge, something related to what we're doing together, something related to online platforms or online platform growth. And we actually just did our first 2-month challenge as a group, and we just put together a book. So we collectively wrote a book, and it's called Turn Your Passion into a Platform. And you're going to get a great picture of what it looks like when a whole group of people who are building online platforms get together and combine their ideas. And that book will be coming out in just a couple months. So keep that in the back of your head when it is ready. The chapters are all written now. And when it's ready, we're going to be announcing that here on the podcast. But I thought I'd put out some advanced word and just put that on your radar. But with that said, our discussion this week, our topic this week is systems and automation. Because one of the things that, or two of the things, I guess I should say, that really can help us get things done is developing some of our own systems and using some of the tools that help automate some of the things that we can do. Now, the other day, I actually took a long drive with my son. I think we were in the car for about 4 hours. So during that time, we had plenty of opportunity to chat. We talked about all sorts of things. But partway through the conversation, he said to me, Dad, people ask me all the time how you get so much done, which, by the way, when I was hearing that, felt like a very good compliment. So I was happy to hear that from my 20-year-old son. But he said, people ask me all the time how you get so much done. And I said, well, what do you tell them? Like, how do you answer that? And he said, I tell them, well, my dad's a very productive guy and he doesn't sleep. So that's what he said. He said, Dad's very productive and he doesn't sleep. Now, I thought his answer was entertaining, but there is truthfully a more complete answer to this question about productivity than what my son said. In fact, the truth is I'm utilizing systems and I'm using automation to help me get things accomplished. And the process I follow and the tools that I utilize actually saved me a lot of time. So I thought that'd be kind of fun to talk about this week. And I'm going to tell you just ahead of time, nothing that I'm about to share is rocket science. But the reason it works, it kind of is rocket science in the sense that I am doing something most people don't do. And this is a word I bring up from time to time, but you're going to hear it again. I consistently apply this system and I really stick to it. And so I'm gonna share the systems that I use, the main system I use to produce a lot of content in a short period of time. And I'm also going to just share about a couple simple tools that I use that help me get this done. Now, recently, I was speaking to a woman who I think she's relatively new at establishing her online platform. That's how she presented it to me. And her current approach to creating content, she says she likes to work in spurts. So I asked her to elaborate on that. And she said, all right, well, when she gets inspired, she will create several things at once. And so she said that may mean writing 3 blog posts in a particular day or creating other forms of content in batches. She said she likes to produce things in batches. And I have to say, for some people, that is not a bad approach. I know lots of people who do that, who create batch content. So what I'm about to share isn't about batching, but I want to make mention of this right at the beginning here. I am not critical of doing things that way, but I personally utilize a system that's different from that. And I think the system I'm using is more sustainable than batching when you feel inspired to create lots of content because my system is not dependent on how I feel. And because it's not dependent on how I feel, It's just become part of my weekly routine. And so it actually enables me to get things done. And if you don't have a system in place just yet, let me make an initial suggestion that is not difficult to implement. And I'm going to build the rest of what I'm talking about here related to my system on this initial piece of advice. So this initial piece or this initial suggestion that I'm going to offer is this: start by blocking off the same time each week to create one piece of written content. Oftentimes I talk about creating one piece of written content, but I don't always talk about blocking off the same time each week. So I just want to encourage you to do that. Start by blocking off the same time each week to create one piece of written content. You're going to see why I say that in just a minute, but don't change the day or time. And don't worry about any of the other pieces of content that you might want to create. Just block off 1 hour at the same time each week as your writing hour. And then do something additional and make yourself accountable to somebody else. Ideally, it would be somebody who is also creating one piece of written content. So make yourself accountable to them by sending them a copy of what you've written, even before it's edited. Let them read what you wrote and let them offer feedback. And when they submit their writing to you, so the idea is you would submit what you write to them and they would submit what they write to you. So when they submit their writing to you, offer feedback as well. But each of you have to agree ahead of time not to be harsh and not to be critical, because the idea isn't that you're trying to create something perfect. It's not that you're trying to create something that's the best thing you've ever written. So don't be harsh or critical. The idea that's going behind this exercise is that you develop the consistent pattern of carving out the same time to write every single week for 60 minutes. You're just carving out a 60-minute block of time to write. And that accountability will actually help you get to that 60-minute spot. You'll actually find yourself able to actually do this when you know that somebody else is going to be able to read it. Once you make this a consistent part of your week, you're going to have something concrete to work with when you develop your system. Because the way I do my systems with online content, everything else is built off of one piece of written content. And so you've got to have that one piece of written content finished if you're going to be able to build a system off of it. So figure out what that time is going to be. Now, you're going to see in just a moment here, I'm going to show you my system. And my system, particularly for platform launchers, involves creating something on a Tuesday. All right. So I block off time Tuesday morning. That's where my writing hour, that's when my 60-minute writing hour is. And I've got some built-in accountability. I'm going to show you in just a moment what the built-in accountability is. But I block that off. On Tuesday morning, I block that off. That's when I have my writing hour. So I just want to say that right at the outset. So figure out what your writing hour is going to be and make it a protected time, and then find someone else who's doing this same sort of thing so that when you're done with your writing hour, you send them your content. And then when they're done with their writing hour, they send you their content. Offer each other just encouraging feedback. Don't be overly critical. Don't pick apart what the other person writes. It's just to establish the pattern. But now with that pattern established, you are primed. You are ready to implement a system. So here's how my system looks. This is what I'm doing, and I'm going to mention the automation tools that I'm using in the process of doing this. All right. So this all takes place on a Tuesday. So everything I build with platform launchers, it all takes place on a Tuesday. And this is what it looks like. First thing in the morning, so we'll say like either 8 or 9 a.m. A lot of times it's right around 9 a.m. I carve that out as the writing hour. So Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., that's the writing hour. And I just start writing. And I write, and I have a theme that I'm going to write on, and that's going to create a blog post. And my goal with that is about 1,000 words. I write 1,000 words. Now, when I get to 1,000 words, I'm done. So if that takes me an hour, great, that's an hour. If it takes me less than an hour, then it's less than an hour. There are also tools that you could use like otter.io that you could just speak what you're saying and it will turn it into a written text. So you might not be a fast typer. I'm a fast typer and I process my thoughts quickly when I'm typing, but maybe you're not a fast typer. Maybe you're better at speaking. So use something like otter.io. or you could even use a like a voice note-taking app right in your phone, and Otter.io does have a phone app. So that's something that you could use right away, but you wanna get to 1,000 words, 1,000 coherent words. Then at 10 a.m., so you figure it's taken me about an hour. Then at 10 a.m., I use Canva, and I use Canva to create art for the blog post. I don't know if you've ever used Canva, but Canva is fantastic. I've discovered it's a fantastic tool to use to create slides, to create YouTube thumbnails, to create Instagram images, and I've also discovered that it's useful for recording online courses. I've actually started recording an online course using Canva for the very first time. I just started doing that 2 weeks ago. Very useful. But what I do in regard to this, so at 9 a.m., I write the blog post. At 10 a.m., it's done, and I use Canva to create cover art for the blog post. And that cover art that I create with Canva is going to be used both for the blog post and for my YouTube channel. And I'm going to get to the YouTube channel later in the day, but I use that cover art for two separate pieces, and it looks exactly the same. Then typically around 10:10 a.m., I send an email reminder to my membership community, and my email list is and my membership community are two things that are managed by Kajabi. Now, I'm gonna mention Kajabi like 5 more times because there are tools inside Kajabi that I'm paying for that help me automate certain things, but keeping track of my email list is one of the things that's automated through Kajabi. And so I send an email reminder to my membership community about our Tuesday evening meeting. Usually I send it at 10, right around 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe around 10:10, to just remind people that we have our meeting. Sometimes it's different times, but usually it's around then. And then that's it. Then I focus on all my other responsibilities for the day. My work for the church, my work for the university, my time with my family, all of that. That's it. That's all done by 10:10 a.m. So 9 o'clock, blog post, 10 o'clock, create cover art for Canva or with Canva that I use for the blog post and I use it for my YouTube channel. And then 10:10 a.m., send an email reminder about our Tuesday evening meeting to my membership community. And that's it. Then nothing else happens as far as the platform content goes until 7:45 p.m. So first thing in the morning and now last thing in the evening. 7:45 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. I teach and I discuss the concepts of that blog post with my membership community. And the nice thing is because I know that I'm gonna have to see them face to face, I have that built-in accountability. So I have that built-in accountability that guarantees I'm gonna get this done. But that happens from 7:45 to 9:30 PM. Then at 9:45 PM, I download the audio and the video recordings from that teaching time from, the meeting of our membership community. I download it from Zoom. I have it auto record on Zoom, and then I download it from Zoom, and I can download the audio file and the video file. And I do that somewhere around 9:45. I basically do it as soon as Zoom gives me access to it. They take a little time to process it, but we'll say 9:45. Then at 9:50, I edit the audio with Audacity. So the audio file, I edit with Audacity. Audacity is free. And then when it's edited into a podcast episode, and basically all I do is I clip the beginning off and I clip the end off, and I just have the teaching time, and I put a little intro music that I've already got that file saved, and a little outro sound, and that's it. And I upload it into Kajabi as a podcast episode that I schedule to go live at 12 a.m. on Wednesday. So it's 12 a.m., like basically once the clock turns to Wednesday, that audio goes live, that podcast episode goes live. Then at 9:55 p.m., I edit the video of the training time with QuickTime. QuickTime's built into my Apple computer, and so I use it. It's very easy, and I make two versions of the video. One, all I do is just clip the beginning and the end. So, and sometimes I don't even clip the end. I just clip the beginning, and I upload it as a 90-minute video that's got all our members only content in it, and it goes into the member vault that's hosted in Kajabi. And then I create a 20-minute version of it that's just the teaching time, that's also the content used for the podcast, and that's where I create the YouTube video. So right now you're either listening to me via the podcast or you're watching me via YouTube. Well, this 20-minute section here of teaching is clipped from that 90-minute experience that I have with our members. It's really like, not, what is it, 105-minute session that I have with our members, but I make a 20-minute version that of the video that can go up on YouTube. It just has the teaching time, and I put it up on YouTube, and then I use that cover art that I created earlier in the morning with Canva with the YouTube channel. At 10 p.m., I upload the blog post that I wrote at 9 in the morning. I upload it to Kajabi, and I use Grammarly. I have that installed on my computer as a what is it? It's a Chrome extension. So I have Chrome as the browser, and I have the Chrome extension for Grammarly, and I have that in my computer. And what it does is it checks for any spelling errors, anything that I've got in there that's like a grammar mistake, and it highlights it in red. And I go through and I just fix any of my spelling errors or any problem like that that Grammarly happened to pick up on. So I upload the blog post to Kajabi. I use Grammarly to edit that. I get an image for the blog post from Pixabay, and I use a royalty-free image from Pixabay if I need it, or I just use what I created from Canva. Lately, I've been creating, lately I've been using the content from Canva as my blog post. But if I didn't have that created from Canva, I could always get something from Pixabay. Then at 10:05 p.m., I use the first 3 paragraphs of the blog post to create an email newsletter that I schedule to go out at 10 a.m. the next day with Kajabi, and it's scheduled to arrive in subscribers' inboxes that next morning. Right around 10 Eastern is when it shows up in people's email inboxes. And again, I use Kajabi to schedule that and send that out. So that's basically a rundown of what happens. But look at all that gets created. I start off the day with one piece of written content, and then I share that content with our group. And from that, I have a podcast, I have a YouTube video, I have a long training video for our member vault. I have let's see, the blog post itself, which I can also use as a future book chapter, and I often do. And I have a newsletter that goes out to my email list. All of that from one thing. And that's the system that I use, and those are the tools that I use to help create that and automate that. My system is all mapped out at this point, and to be honest with you, it feels very automatic to me. The way I have it set up, I do a few things in the morning and a few additional things in the evening. I use posting and scheduling tools that are built into Kajabi to deliver my content to my members and my general audience. And I've been following this pattern for years, and it honestly helps me consistently serve, at this point now, thousands of people weekly, reaching new people regularly, making my business more gradually valuable over time as I do this week after week after week. And I want to finish up this week by just making a few very quick suggestions for you if you're interested in implementing a similar approach to your online platform. Number one is this. I have 4 suggestions for you if you want to implement a similar approach in your online platform. Number one is mark off a specific day as your content creation day. Mark off a specific day as your content creation day. You don't have to create new content every single day of the week. That's not realistic for most people. Just do your best to create one new piece of content each week that could be used multiple ways, and then stick to a specific day for creating that piece of content. Point number 2, utilize the margins of the day when you're building your system. So I just showed you my system. My system involves something in the morning and then several things in the evening. Odds are, like me, you have a variety of responsibilities in your daily life. You're juggling your family, you're juggling your career, you're juggling your studies, your side projects. Any of those categories would be very common to be juggling. Using the margins of the day, so your morning and your late evening, that can be an approach that helps you get things accomplished without taking you away from your other obligations. And the way I look at it is like this. While the rest of the world watches TV or wastes time on their phone, we can build our platforms. So we build our platforms. The rest of the time, just people are just scrolling their phone, but we're building our platforms. Third thing I'd suggest, don't be afraid to make a financial investment in the right tools. This, by the way, is a stumbling block for many people when they're initially getting things underway. And I understand that, especially if funds are tight, but don't let it be a stumbling block for you. One of two things will happen from your investment. You'll either make your business better or you'll learn something new. You'll build a user friendly platform that you enjoy creating and your audience enjoys utilizing, or you'll learn what not to do and what not to use in the future. The right tools actually make just a huge world of difference when you're building a system and when you're automating tasks. It's oftentimes worth just paying a little money to get the right tools. Number four, and you heard me say this already, but number four, my fourth suggestion is incorporate accountability into everything you do. Knowing that I have to share what I've created in front of actual people keeps me motivated to keep creating content and keep delivering it on time. Without the accountability of my membership community, without the accountability of my online audience as well, I'm not certain I would meet my deadlines with the same consistency. It really does help me to be accountable to real people. Now, again, systems and automation, they are valuable in so many ways. These are the tools that I use. In just a moment, our members club is going to be having a discussion about the tools that they use. But these are the tools that I use. And I hope this peek into my system and the ways that I'm using tools like Kajabi and some of the things built into it, and things like Canva and things like Grammarly, things like that to automate some of my tasks. I hope it gives you a few new ideas. And I'll tell you, I pay for the pro subscription of Canva. Cost me, I think, $120 for a year, so it's worth it. I use it constantly. With Kajabi, Kajabi's pricey in some respects, but when you add in all the things that it does, at the end of the day, I look at it and I feel like it's a bargain. And it's helped me earn more money online with the things that I'm doing than what it costs me to actually use that tool. So I'm willing to pay for it. And by the way, if Kajabi is something that's interesting to you, I almost always post a link to my Kajabi affiliate link in the description of these podcast episodes. So if you're interested in giving Kajabi a try for 30 days for free, if you go to their website, it's 14 days for free, I think, or maybe 15 days for free. But if you use the affiliate link that I have in the description of this podcast episode, it'll double it to 30 days for free, and you can mess around with it and try it with no financial obligation. And I'd be happy to share that link with you. So it'll be in the description of this podcast episode. And I hope that you give it a try, and I hope that you like it. But that's what I use. Those are my systems. Those are the automation tools that I use that help me get a lot done. And at the end of each week, I look at it and I think, you know what? Some valuable content has been created here, and this is the approach that I use to get that content out there. So I hope that's helpful for somebody. And as always, I'm super grateful that you join us for this podcast each week. It's always a pleasure to be able to get together. I wish I knew some of your names and could see some of your faces, although some of you, I guess I very much do know. But there are many of you out there that I haven't had the opportunity to know or meet personally. But I do feel like just grateful to God that He gives us this weekly time each week where we can connect and talk about these things. And I hope that some of these suggestions are useful to you and what you're building. In the meantime, until we meet again, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have lots of success in building your online platform, and hope that this is a very productive season, a very productive summer as you build, grow, and monetize your online platform and get the message out there that you feel passionate about. That's it for us this week. Thanks again for tuning in. We look forward to catching up with you again next time. In the meantime, take care and have an awesome week.